Hello, welcome to yet another podcast talking about wrestling, doing some questions. It's still not ended, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. We're back again.
This is what we do now.
This is it. This is our life now.
Yeah, so, no, the only change that will not affect anybody listening is I'm in a different location.
That's it.
Other than that, it's the norm. It's asking questions about wrestling.
Yeah, nothing changes. Usual, like, subscribe, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Music, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You know the deal by now. You know where we are. And as far as I know, there's no deaths.
There was one. I can't remember the full name now. English guy called Rollerball, like Rollerball Rocco or something like that.
Right.
But I don't know all the details, but I think he was just kind of like an old man at this point. So. But that's the only one I'm aware of. So, throw the dedication out to him.
Okie dokie.
But other than that, I think no others.
Yeah, crack on then.
Okay, you to go.
Okie doke. The first one I'm going for is, what did you think of Shane and his new Raw Underground segments?
I knew that was going to be the first one. I just knew it. Wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
I just thought... What?
Yeah,
I just didn't get how it mixed in with everything that's either going on or... I don't know if that's their response to the fans of going, see, we're listening to you. I was like, we never asked for anything like this.
Yeah.
What?
It's Vince's way of going, oh, something's going wrong. Oh, what do we do? Oh, I'll bring Shane back to do a random segment that we've never done before. That'll do it. Yeah,
when I heard Shane was going to be on Raw, and I thought, okay... That's interesting. He hasn't been around since, was it SmackDown 1000? Or
yeah,
it was?
Something like that. It was the thing with him and Kevin.
The premiere.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it was good to see him again because he had a nice break from him.
Yeah, so it was that kind of interest of like, why is he there? And then I checked the results the following night, or a day, sorry, and I was just like, well, hang on, what? It just, because to me, it might have worked slightly better if the ring had ropes. It doesn't look right without no ropes. It's just like...
It's meant to be like kind of dirty and underproduced and like a Fight Club kind of thing.
Yeah.
I get the gimmick. It's just... I don't need it, and I don't think anybody else needs it as well. And it feels like we're taking a bit of a step back, mainly because of the 3 random dancing girls that were there the entire time as well. I was like, why have we got that? That's not... we don't do this shit anymore. That's just like sexualising the women when we're meant to have like... At no point were any other women in this kind of thing other than to stand there and dance. It just seemed a little bit backwards to me.
I noticed that, and it was one of those things where I didn't mind it as such because I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to give some kind of element of Attitude Era back. I know it's kind of the world's kind of evolved past, or at least wrestling's evolved past the whole over-sexualizing women and stuff, but to me, it doesn't really matter what era we're in. Sex sells. So
yeah, but it didn't because the segments were crap. It didn't. Yeah, I didn't look at those and think to myself, "That's doing it for me." I'm thinking, why are they there?
Yeah, it was purely just. It's kind of the subliminal thing of like, if there was any teenagers watching it, they probably still had the same reaction of us of like, "What's this Raw Underground crap?" And then they see like the 3 girls, so they just kind of like. There is sexy women on it, so let's pay a bit more attention. It's purely the subliminal, like... Yeah,
but also, like, what about the girls that are watching? They'll look at it and go, well, I'm going to switch off. So you're instantly 50% of your market's gone.
But some girls are into that kind of crap.
Yeah, but not all of them are.
I just sexualise themselves and stuff.
I just feel like it is a bit pointless to me.
But the whole thing was pointless.
Yeah, it really was.
Like, where is this meant to lead?
Exactly. I guarantee you, I bet you any money, within 3 to 4 weeks, it won't be a segment anymore. It's just it's a knee-jerk reaction to viewership falling. That's all it is.
But the thing, I know it's probably part of his character, because Shane, by the looks of it, is still coming as a kind of heel persona.
Yeah.
But I didn't like him like mouthing off on the mic the entire time. Somebody's got the guy he introduced, the 7-foot guy. I thought, okay,
he's interesting.
Yeah, if he's going to be a proper contender later down the line, they're okay. He's a big guy and he can handle himself. Interesting to see where it goes. But the whole thing of just throwing him around, the ring without ropes just looks like they're wrestling on a giant table to me. And it wasn't even wrestling. They were just throwing each other about, throwing not believable punches at each other. They tried to make it their version of UFC. And it wasn't working.
No, it wasn't.
So I didn't see all the segments. I know MVP Stables on there.
Yeah, the Hurt Business was the Hurt Business was the only time I looked at it and going, okay, well that's, if it's a means to kind of get those guys over, then fine, I suppose. But that was the only time I was even a little bit interested, was when they rocked up. All the rest of the time, I was just like, I don't know why I'm watching this.
No, because apart from them turning up, the majority of the people there, it was like, well, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah.
Because for all I know, they might have just picked them up on the street that day.
Yeah, why do we care? Why do we care about them?
Yeah, but what I looked at it as is, I know NXT's become its own brand, but to me, NXT is the underground of the WWE, because that's the up-and-comers. We've got the prestige that is Raw and SmackDown, and then there's the down below basement segment of WWE, which is NXT, where this is where the stars are developed. It's still developmental territory, even though it's a brand in its own right now. So again, that kind of made me think, well, if we've got NXT, what's the purpose of Raw Underground?
Yeah, exactly.
So
you don't need it.
Yeah, I wasn't into it. No. I kind of hope they nix it.
Well, like I said, I think that will be the case. I think within a few weeks it will be non-existent.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Is it me?
Yep.
What do you think of the current state of the commentary teams, or just commentary in general?
The commentators we've got for Raw at the moment, I like. I think Joe and is it Todd Phillips? I think.
Yeah.
Him, and then I can't remember who else it was.
Is it Byron?
It might have been Byron. I don't know, but he doesn't really interject if it is him. It's mainly the other two. Those two, I think they work quite well. I quite like them, especially with the segment they did with Joe this week on Raw with Seth and everything. That worked quite nicely. And as far as calling it in the ring, they're a little bit more passionate and know a little bit more about the move sets and how things go down, so it naturally works better. Same with NXT with Mauro, because he knows everything inside out. Even Beth isn't too bad either. So yeah, I quite like the NXT, but it's SmackDown where it falls apart because it's got Michael Cole in. It's just I'm just fed up with him now. I really am fed up with him. Just like I don't want to hear his voice anymore, and it instantly takes me out of stuff because he's just there as a mouthpiece for Vince. He's just constantly just saying quotes and marketing, and just he's not even calling out specific moves correctly. He's just saying things that they're similar to. He's not doing it properly. It's just the way he says WWE history pisses me off all the time. And he's just getting on my nerves now. Every time he opens his mouth, I'm just like, oh, shut up. I'm done with him. I don't take him out, put someone else in there, and I guarantee it'll pick up instantly. He's just gone past it now. I can't stand him anymore.
But who used to commentate with Cole? Or who does commentate with Cole, sorry?
I know that Corey Graves does.
Corey's
all right, but still, I'm starting to get bored of him as well.
Yeah, the problem is at the minute, back in the day, obviously in the good old days, you had pretty much the one commentary team, JR and King.
Yeah.
And to this day, that has been really hard to top, or at least
the reason it's been hard to top is because those two were characters within themselves. They had a character and they stuck with it. These guys are literally as if they're just robots, just sitting there and speaking. And that's exactly what Michael Cole and Graves definitely are. I mean, Joe and Todd Phillips, not so much. They're a little bit more flamboyant with the way they talk. But yeah, like Cole and that, they're literally just a robot. It's just like there's a load of lines on a script and they're sitting there reading it word for word. And it doesn't make for good commentating. You're meant to commentate naturally and unscripted of what's going on in the ring and know your shit when you're talking about it. And they clearly don't. It's just being read from a script and it's annoying as hell.
Because the chemistry to me is extremely important. I mean, what's weird is even back in the Attitude Era, that's when Michael Cole, end of Attitude Era, start of Ruthless Aggression. is when he began to commentate. And yes, he was in his early days of learning it. And yet, I sometimes look back on that. He's like, you were better back in the early days than you are now.
Yeah, definitely. He's resting on his laurels now.
This might not be the fault of any of them. Well, but none of it's the fault of any of them. But if none of them, or only a minimum of them, have chemistry, then without the chemistry, it's not going to work. JR and King had that; they could bounce off each other. JR and King were very different people and personalities, but they clicked. And it was the same with when Michael Cole and Taz did SmackDown. There was just something there that clicked, so it worked. And so NXT's not doing too bad, but Mauro carries it.
Yeah, 100% Mauro carries it because of how much he knows his shit.
Yeah, the thing is, what the dynamic I've always liked is, I know Corey can't wrestle anymore, but he still is a former wrestler. And Joe, I'm not going to say former wrestler, he is a wrestler.
Yeah.
So, like the segment that happened on Raw the other day, when something happens which is like directed towards the commentator team, or they're accidentally bumped, or the non-wrestler is getting picked on, in this case Todd Phillips, Joe can stand up and go, he's my partner, you back the fuck off.
Yeah. Because
I can still go. And so, yeah, I always like that dynamic. But, yeah, I think the other part that's ruining it is because we're in an era where everything is overproduced.
Yeah, it is overproduced.
It's always in their ear.
Again, it's like
it's
like a script. Don't forget to mention the sponsors. Make sure you've got Mountain Dew in front of you. It's shit like that.
Yeah, and the problem with Cole is, yes, he's doing just what he's told with the sponsors, like you say, and say this, say that, say big dog and boss time.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
But his emphasis has become so generic now that it feels like I'm listening to the audio commentary on a video game.
Yes, that's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds exactly like that. And that's boring as hell.
Yeah, it's like the passion is fake.
Yeah,
and when
100%.
Said passion is fake, we're not going to be invested in it.
Yeah.
So, like, but with JR and King would always be the high-pitched, pervy, always going for the heels kind of thing. Would say an inappropriate or rude joke every now and then.
Yeah.
JR would always be, sometimes he'd call it down the middle, sometimes he put the faces over, which he should. He
was like the working man's commentator.
Yes. He put everything over, which a commentator should do.
Yeah.
He had the passion for it, of whether someone's being attacked unwrongly, he'd get angry. Where every time Austin came out, it was like, it made it sound like it was JR's Christmas.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
He sold it. Where with Cole and Corey and some of the others, something will happen, sometimes mid-match or whatnot, which the other commentators back in the day would put over like, oh my God, that was amazing. They're halfway through talking about Mountain Dew or something that happened the week before.
Or they're bickering between themselves. Like they're having a little feud on the desk. It's like, guys, can you stop talking to each other and just comment on the match, please? And then it happen naturally. You're so busy having an argument with each other, you're missing 3-4 moves in the ring.
Yeah, if you can, by all means, comment on the match or comment on something that's happened in this story or in the character that would, even subliminally, because in my opinion, a good commentator is one where you're invested in the match, you're watching the match fully, and you're not even realising that you're still listening to the commentator.
Yeah, it's just like
you're not ignoring them.
Yeah, it's just subconsciously going into your head, and that's just part of the match.
Yeah. I'm not saying like you watch the match and you go, oh, I don't know one thing that they said. And I'm not saying, obviously, a bad thing would be like I was too distracted by the commentators to enjoy the match. It's got to be, I'm 100% in this match, and yet these voices are still kind of narrating this story for me.
Yeah.
That give me more investment, that give me more passion and adrenaline. And it's a lost art now. They're just completely propping it up.
Yeah, it really is a lost art.
Yeah, Mauro's bringing it back, because Mamma Mia is the cheesiest
But it works.
But yes, he makes it work because he genuinely seems excited by what he's seeing.
Yeah.
And when he's excited and he says it through the headset, the audience is just as excited.
100%.
Yeah, and it's not generic. That's the main thing. It's not generic.
There's passion. There's passion all the way through it. So to kind of wrap up and answer your question, I think there are good people there, but overall it's just becoming stale and robotic.
Yeah, I mean, at one point it was JR and Heyman that were commentators, and that seems like a dream come true on paper, and they were good. But again, it could not replicate the chemistry King and JR had. You have to find two that work and then just keep them. I mean, I think 3 people on the table is too much.
Yeah, it is too much. We should have gone back to two-man booth a long, long time ago.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, your turn.
Right, okay. This is the one that I just literally at the last possible moment I put this together, to be honest. Because I was struggling for questions this week. How would you book Stone Cold's retirement match if he didn't have to stop the way that he did? So if he could carry on for a while and then naturally retire like most people do, how would you go about it?
Well, he retired in 2003, didn't he?
I think it was 2003, yeah.
Yeah, so how many years do you think, if he hadn't got injured, how many more years do you think he could have gone?
I think he could have got to maybe 2012.
Really?
At the absolute max. That's pushing it. That's like Undertaker territory.
Right, okay. See, even if he was healthy, I think he would have kind of walked away around 2007 time.
Right.
But because I'm trying to think of what the roster would have been back then to who Austin could have done things with. But okay, let me have a quick think here. Okay. Ideally, it would kind of be almost a way that the streak went down of just this. With the Undertaker, it was opponent after opponent that were very talented, but Taker would always get up on one of them until this beast comes over the horizon and just takes him out. So with Austin, I think it would have had to have gone full circle of Vince finally having the last laugh. Because I think it would have, if Austin had approached Vince backstage and said, yeah, I think I'm done. I think we need to start wrapping up my career. I think Vince would have gone, all right. Not to feed his ego, but I think he would have been smart enough to know that he was Austin's biggest rival of all time. And it would have had to gone down to the whole point of this company is only big enough for one of us. And we know Vince ain't going anywhere on reality. So it gets to the whole, is you or me? And then Vince finds his next big star, his next big guy. And again, without knowing what the roster, or remembering what the roster was back then, it's hard for me to say who. But Vince goes, this is the guy, brand new star, comes in, he's going to take you out at WrestleMania. So whatever that Mania is, Austin versus whoever, I'd say it was Umaga. Okay. I think he was around at the time. Obviously, God rest his soul, he's not with us anymore. But he's like, check out this guy, the Samoan Bulldozer. He's going to take you out. And Austin's like, yeah, bring it on. And everyone's going in with the same mindset of WrestleMania 30 of like, yes, we know it's Brock Lesnar, but this is The Undertaker and this is the streak. There's no way Taker's losing.
Yeah.
Same thing. The whole thing. Austin's career is on the line. They're thinking, no way. Austin's going to, regardless of how awesome this Umaga is, Austin's going to whip his ass. They just flip him off and kick the shit out of him. And then maybe just a 90% offense by Umaga to shock everybody of that. Austin can hardly get a move in, and Umaga crushes him. And then gets the 1, 2, 3. Everyone's there like, oh my God. And Vince just bellows, you're fired. So you fire Stone Cold at WrestleMania. Vince gets the last laugh. They go off. Maybe Austin gets up and does a farewell speech and a last beer with the crowd, and off he goes.
Bloody hell.
Because again, it's getting someone over. If it's giving back to the company that gave so much to you. But But saying that, I've got absolutely no problem with the way he went out.
No, I mean, neither have I. It's just that none of us knew that it was happening.
No, it would have been completely different if we knew it was happening. But even now, looking back at it and going, oh my God, if only we knew. Even when I sit there and think about it, it's like, what a way to go. Yeah, because apart from Vince, Vince was Austin's greatest rival, but as far as in-ring rival...
It was Rock.
It was The Rock. It was always The Rock. So to have one more match with The Rock, and again, do the favours for The Rock. You know, Austin had beaten twice before at Mania, and that whole story, The Rock never has. And let's be honest, The Rock didn't need the victory at the time. He was off to Hollywood.
Yeah.
But it was the respect they had for each other. Austin was like, yeah, I'm on the way out. It's only fair that you get that victory over me. I think that's great. A great full circle story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, again, if Austin had stayed a few years longer, we wouldn't be able to get that match because The Rock, let's say, he went off to Hollywood. But yeah, the one I put forward, I think it would have had to have been, well, when Austin says, I'm retiring, Vince goes, well, I'm not going anywhere. Let's finish this story between you and me once and for all.
Yeah.
It gets Vince over more as the diabolical, evil tyrant. It gets another wrestler over as you're the guy that retired Stone Cold. So he'd be the hottest heel in the company at the time. And then you can build another face hero to take down, in this case, Umaga and Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's continuing the cycle.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I think it would have gone with something like that.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Did you have one? Or
no, I didn't have one because I literally got the question at the last second. So now I've got nothing.
Fair enough. Okay. Paul Heyman.
Yes.
Is he or is he not in your not your opinion? Well, yes, your opinion, but also looking at the whole picture. Is Paul Heyman the greatest manager of all time?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, even with like Bobby Heenan and Paul Bearer.
There's some great ones out. Yeah, I mean, there's some great ones out there. They've all got great characters and they've done their job brilliantly. But there are no managers like Paul Heyman who can talk me into a room. And at the end of the day, that's what the mouthpiece of someone is meant to do. He's meant to talk you into the room, and he's so good at playing off the fans. Even with like conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff and bullshitting and is this true? Is it not true? You'll never know, but let's talk about it anyway. He's so good at playing the crowd and in and out of the ring, no matter what he does, that he invests you into a story that otherwise you wouldn't be half invested into. This whole run with Brock Lesnar that's gone on pretty much since WrestleMania 30 as this dominant person, we would have lost interest half as quick if Heyman wasn't there talking for him and booking us into the match and getting us interested and invested into the match. Every single time he comes out and tells people who he is, what he's there for and why, just gets you hooked into the match. Regardless of whether you know that Lesnar can kick someone's ass or not, he books you in and lets you know that it's going to be awesome and gives you a reason to watch. If he wasn't there, we wouldn't be half as interested. We would have gone, come on, give someone else a chance. You know what I mean? But yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, whether or not, because I've heard a lot of rumours, obviously AJ's not a massive fan of him. There are plenty of people out there that aren't massive fans of him because he's lied in the past or maybe he's bullshitted the right way or the wrong way. And he's definitely rubbed people up the wrong way in the past. There's no shadow of a doubt in that. But like I say, if we're talking about the manager's state of things, yeah, there is no doubt in my mind he is the best there is, 100%. And he always will be. I never think I'll ever see a manager that can do what he does.
I mean, I love Heyman and I love the dynamic with Lesnar. But sometimes I think with Heyman and Lesnar, does him being a great manager work more because of who Brock Lesnar is? I mean, I know he tried... If there was no Brock Lesnar and he tried that stuff with Cesaro, I love Cesaro as well, but Cesaro is nowhere near the beast that Brock Lesnar is.
Mm.
So sometimes he could have said the exact same stuff that he said for Lesnar, but for Cesaro in this other world. And I don't know if I would have bought it as much because, again, Brock Lesnar's that kind of once-in-a-lifetime freak where when Heyman says it, because it's Brock Lesnar, you can believe that Brock Lesnar can do it.
Yeah, but I suppose that's a way of that's how they've built Lesnar up over the years. I think if they put him with Cesaro and built Cesaro up over a certain amount of time and make it more believable, then I think there's no reason why they can't either. As long as Heyman's saying the right things to get you in the room, and then Cesaro's going out there and winning big matches, eventually you're going to sit there and go, yeah, it's a good team. I'm quite enjoying it. And it starts to make it more believable that Cesaro can beat whoever, because Heyman's telling you that he can, and he's backed it up by proving it in the last 6 or 7 matches with all these wins that he's had. So it's all to do with booking and character. So I think if they give him the time and they give the characters the time, Heyman can manage anybody and make it work, as long as they give him the chance to play with it.
Yeah, he was Punk's manager for a while as well.
Yeah, and I think that worked really well.
Well, it did, but at the same time, when I look at it, it's like, what did he actually do while he was in Punk's corner?
Yeah, I suppose.
Need it.
Yeah, I suppose he didn't need him, because obviously Punk's a really good mouthpiece anyway. He didn't need a manager, but I still think the whole storyline they did with him will work really, really well. It wasn't too long, it wasn't too short. Anything that Heyman was saying, I was invested in, because he's Paul Heyman. Yeah, there's not really a time that he's been a manager with someone and I've not enjoyed it. Even with things like Curtis Axel and Cesaro, and that the minimal times he was there doing it, I still enjoyed him trying something different, and he still got me interested in the match, regardless of what I thought of the wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been with Paul Heyman. He's that good at what he does, and because there's people like us who understand the business, the more he cuts promos like that, by the end of it, when he drops the mic and him and Brock leave the ring, it's like, God, that dude is awesome. But other people, the kayfabe fans who don't understand it, might be in the position of like, oh, can someone just kick Lesnar's ass to shut Heyman up? And I've never felt that way. Again, my maybe because I love Heyman so much, but when Stephanie was in Triple H's corner, it was that kind of thing of like, yes, I want someone to punch Triple H in the face to shut him up, but I want to see Steph's little fucking face drop as well, because I hated that much. There's that missing piece that, yes, Heyman is a great heel and great at what he does, but some managers are missing that heel heat of, sometimes pulling the leg of another wrestler or distracting the referee. And I think, to a degree, that's what makes a good manager. Lana did it a little bit. Zelina gets involved every now and then, and I'm a big fan of what they do.
You're covering your microphone.
Sorry.
Just like bit by bit, it was slowly getting quieter and quieter.
I got sweaty palms. It slides towards the mic. People like Zelina and Lana and those kind of managers that would get involved behind the ref's back or distract the ref. To me, that's how you develop manager heat. Yeah. And I'm not knocking Heyman for not doing that, because that's not his character. I get that. He doesn't have to with a client like Brock Lesnar. Yeah. And I'm agreeing with you to a degree. I think Heyman is one of the most fantastic managers ever. But personally, I want to say, yeah, he probably is the best ever. But there's such a long list of other managers, like even back in the day, like Bobby Heenan and say Paul Bearer, who again didn't do much, but that chemistry and connection between him and the Undertaker, or him and Kane, worked. Who was the other one? I can't put my finger on if she just annoyed me or she was good at it. Vicky Guerrero. Yeah, she was annoying as hell, and it wasn't a case of she was necessarily a good manager, because the kind of gimmick was she was with like Ziggler and stuff, and she wasn't necessarily a great manager, but I think we loved her as a character more than a manager, just because of how annoying she was. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, when she was mouthing off with that annoying excuse me and whatnot, and then Ziggler would lose, for a split second you got that, oh yes, shove that up your ass, Vicky. But then she would do this shrill, annoying scream of like, oh, no, she's just annoying me all over again. So it's like, even when Ziggler loses, she's annoying. So how can I get rid of this vindictive cow? Because she's really like, she's shrill. She's shrill. But I think there needs to be more managers nowadays.
Yeah, especially for
especially
the people that are still working on their promos and their mic work and stuff, and being able to talk. If they're not that great at it, or they still need to work upon it, then having someone there to cushion the blow is definitely the way forward.
Yeah, I think that is actually why we've got Zelina beginning to kind of manage Andrade and Angel and Austin Theory and stuff. And then the other side, MVP's obviously got like Shelton and Lashley under his wing. So it looks like they might be trying to revitalise it. And I'm okay with that. I think, again, like the commentary thing we spoke about earlier, I think the role of the manager is becoming a lost art form.
Yeah.
Because at the minute, the only manager that really does stand out is Paul Heyman. And half the time he's not there because Brock's not there.
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes for Heyman. That we still think he's great even when he's not there most of the time.
Did you said Austin Theory?
Yeah.
You do know about the rumours that are going around at the moment?
I know. As soon as I said it, I thought he was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just sort of checked. It's like, well, technically she's not his manager at the moment because he's under investigation of being a naughty boy.
Yeah, I mean, again, unfortunately, we can't really comment on it until we know.
Yeah, we don't know any proof, so it's investigation at the moment. So we'll let it go. But at the moment, he's not on Raw, or he's not even being mentioned at the moment.
Yeah. We'll sweep it into the rug and maybe talk about it when more information.
Yeah, when we get some clarification.
Yeah. Your go.
Right. So my final question is, do you ever think we'll see WWE back to some sort of form of glory, or are we destined to be stuck in this kind of lukewarm era? And I don't necessarily mean that the PG thing is the cause of that. I just mean that there's something going on in the last few years that WWE there's just something really missing. And I'm not talking about Attitude Era, PG. I'm not talking about those kind of things. I'm just talking about the product overall. There's just something missing. NXT have still got it. They've got an amazing product. But Raw and SmackDown and the pay-per-views just can't seem to keep up. And that's what I'm wondering. Do you think we'll ever get back to a point where everything is like NXT and it's awesome? Or are we going to be destined to be in this kind of overproduced, kind of wishy-washy, not really thought of era where it's okay at best?
I think one or two things will happen, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to see until like live audiences come back. Because what I'd love to say is, as soon as they say there's a live audience allowed back into the arena, the energy that there will be there and the excitement will snowball. Because I've always said, like, even watching it at home or even at the bar or whatnot, if I can feel the energy from the screen that's coming from the arena through the camera, it feeds me energy.
Yeah.
It feeds the watcher energy. And I think, hopefully, the first few shows back, I think the energy level will be high because people will be so happy to be there. And if they can ride that momentum, then it might pull them out the quicksand a little bit. But I think as much as Vince wants to ignore it, he needs to see that his product is kind of flailing a little bit. AEW are holding their own.
There they are.
And they're in this exact same situation of no live audience and stuff.
Yeah, you can't use it as an excuse.
No. So I think if the live crowd thing happens and, he's probably got it in his head, like, as soon as he's got a live crowd, we'll be back on our feet. If they get a live crowd and, like you say, it's still that lukewarm, kind of mild, what are we doing kind of personality, atmosphere and buzz, I think he'll either have to, if not him, his the board of directors, those that have got stock and say, will go, look, whatever AEW are doing is working for them, so we're going to give you more freedom, like the ratings and that, or even to the point of, like, whatever they're doing, do that. Yeah. Because it's working. Take that dynamic. Or we're just going to have to wait till Vince kicks it.
Yeah.
That will have to be the case. Because he's a stubborn man. he might just go. People might already be going up to him and going, "Look, AEW is doing much better than us. We need to take a page out of their book." He might go, "Well, we're not AEW. We're WWE. We'll do it my way or the highway."
Yeah, and that does sound more like Vince. It's just like, I know what works because I've been around here longer, and he's unaware that he's out of touch.
Yeah, the thing is, I think Taker mentioned it in his documentary series of the possibility of jumping to WCW. He was always saying, like, look, I never forgot that Vince gave me the opportunity to be a star, where WCW told him, no, you're never going to be a star. So he was always going to be, if the ship sinks, I'm going down with the ship. So Vince is the same guy. He's that kind of like, the captain will go down with the ship. So and he will. If the ship begins to sink, he will be there when it goes down.
But the problem is, the reason it sinks will be his fault. That's the issue. It's not a case of it's just his other circumstances. It's just it's like he's veering towards an iceberg and he's refusing to turn the wheel.
Yeah, it's if he said that line to Triple H, like if the ship sinks, I'll be there when it sinks. Like, yes, but shouldn't, instead of you going, I'll go with the sinking ship, shouldn't you be looking at trying to have the ship avoid sinking altogether?
Yeah, just correct your course.
Yeah, instead of being stubborn, just like you say with the iceberg thing of like, there's an iceberg right ahead. If we sink, we sink. But no,
let's not sink. No, let's not do that.
Let's look at the bigger picture of what the world wants, what the fans want.
You got to keep your finger on the pulse, and that's one of the reasons why AEW is doing so well, because Cody's good at it. But the best person at keeping his finger on the pulse ever is Jericho. He's so good at constantly reinventing himself. If he was in charge of WWE, I guarantee it would be the best product we've got. He's so good at knowing how to change with the times, and Vince isn't.
It annoys me, like, it's probably the biggest annoyance for me from Vince, that he goes, the end of the day is what the fans want. If the fans want it, they'll get it. He's like, then why, again, it's the whole thing of what Punk said. Why aren't you listening to them then? I get that in his head, it's like, well, the fans that are screaming for this are the teenage fans or fans like you and me that will go on Twitter and Facebook and go, well, we want this and we want that because this is what we personally want. And he'll go, well, we got to look at what, the kids want and the family want and all that stuff. It's like, at the end of the day, yes, I get you want to, children, family, you want like a huge age variety to watch the product. But if there's a main, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a main age group, which I think there is, it would be like those 17 to 35-year-olds. They're your main audience.
Yeah.
Listen to them more, because if the kids don't like it, they don't like it.
They'll find something else.
Yeah, but the kid. I don't want to like shit on kids here now, but children are fickle.
Yeah, they are. We all are.
Sometimes
we all are as kids.
Wrestling fans in general are fickle, I think, because we're that case of we'll tell you what we want, we'll get it, and then straight away what do we want next? That's just the way wrestling fans are. It's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
But with kids, they will watch the product for what it is and accept it for what it is. And there's some fans out there that still do the same. But we're now in an era where fans like you and me, and not a minority, but a majority of voices, are telling them, we don't want that, we want this. But at the same time, we don't want to tell them exactly what we want, because what's the point of watching it? We just want to kind of give them pointers.
Yeah.
Of like, throw in a surprise here, throw in a shock here. Give someone like this a chance, not, throw the championship, I don't know. If something on Twitter went, throw the championship on Aleister Black, and they went, okay, here you go, Aleister Black's champion. You'd be like, well, yeah, but we don't want to write it for you. You need to invest us. It needs to be organic.
Yeah, it needs to be organic. You need to naturally see who we like and then build it around there. Not just go, we'll give you what you want really abruptly and then we'll quickly move on to what we want to do.
Well, when Otis won Money in the Bank,
yeah,
it was so out of left field. if someone said, if they did press conferences still, if someone put their hand up and went, why did you give Otis the Money in the Bank contract? Because, well, fans are screaming for someone new and an upcoming, a fresh face to win something like that, so we thought on Otis. But where was the build-up? Where was the organic thing?
Yeah, where was the thought process?
Otis is built up enough for him to win that case and it feel deserved. Because it's the equivalent of throwing the Money in the Bank briefcase on Heath Slater. It'd be like, yes, we know he probably deserves a shot, but it came so out of left field. It's like, well, his character don't deserve it.
Well, it's the same.
Because what's his character done?
Yes, it's the same when they took the WWE Championship on Jinder Mahal. It just came out of nowhere, and it was literally for marketing and breaking into India. It was so hollow.
If you'd spent a year with Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers of building him up as a top heel and going against the stars of the company without the championship, like the stars like Randy Orton, like Roman Reigns. So it was a slow 12-month build to put Jinder in the title picture and that spotlight. When he won the WWE Championship, we probably wouldn't have been as pissed off.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was just like, Jinder, nah, no way. Holy fuck, they've actually done it. The hate from the fans was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Mm.
It just wasn't, they're rushing.
Yeah.
They're rushing, like, the fans aren't happy, what do they want? What do we do? How can we keep them in there? Oh, give them that. No. Don't press the panic button.
It's everything is... Well, their way of doing things is very similar to the way our government's handling this pandemic at the moment. It's all reactive instead of proactive. That's all it is.
They're not thinking about the future. They should be thinking about WrestleMania now.
Yes.
Where they're probably still writing next week's Raw. You know, it's a lot of like, what are we going to do tomorrow instead of what are we going to do next year?
Yeah.
It's a clusterfuck over there. They can hide it all they want. I guarantee it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
In the writing and everything that's happening.
So to kind of wrap up the question, do you think it will ever go back to a former glory, or do you think we're destined to be stuck in here?
I think it will, but best case scenario, we'll be waiting a couple of years.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, we'll have to wait till Vince kicks it.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah. Is it my last one?
Yeah, so your last question, question of the podcast.
Yeah. As far as why we love, despite what we just said, why we love WWE or AEW or just wrestling in general, are you a fan more of the wrestling or the sports entertainment side of it?
That's quite a difficult one to answer, really, because I feel like it's different depending on what part of the product I'm watching. But again, that's kind of the way they've kind of pushed it forward. Like with NXT, they're definitely focused more on the actual wrestling side of things. It gets them over to a point where you're invested in the character. But with WWE and like Raw and SmackDown and that, they're definitely leaning more into the entertainment side of things, and the wrestling kind of comes second, really, to be honest. In my opinion, I've always thought that, yes, the entertainment value is very important. Of course it is, because you have to be entertained. You have to leave satisfied from a show or a pay-per-view or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, we're coming here to watch these guys and girls go at it in a wrestling ring and show us the skills that they've got in a wrestling ring. And then the characters and the entertainment should come from that, not the other way round. So I've always gone in with, I'm here to see wrestling, and everything else is just a bonus.
Yeah, it is a difficult question, because even I've been thinking about it, because I tune in. At the end of the day, it's World Wrestling Entertainment. I watch it because it's a wrestling product. But I don't know, there's something slightly more that draws me to, if for Raw and SmackDown, for example, I've always seen Raw and SmackDown as the story development episodes that are lead up to a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And then the wrestling happens at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, you don't have to have wrestling every single week like Raw and SmackDown, I get that. Like, the main wrestling is for the shows and everything. But you still need to have more wrestling than you do anything else, really, because it is still a wrestling show. That's the main focal point.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, sometimes I'm invested, more often than not, I'm invested in a match because of the story that has been told, more so than the whole I'm excited just because the bell rang. Don't get me wrong, like you say, it's a wrestling show. I do want to see a wrestling match. I want to see two men or two women go toe to toe and athletically wrestle and show off their strength and abilities and whatnot. But again, if it was just here's Raw, here's 6 wrestling matches in a row, good night, no promos, no story build, no character build, no nothing. I don't know. I probably wouldn't be as invested.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I when you put it that way, I do agree. I think I just kind of focus more on the wrestling side of things because at the end of the day, that's the main reason we're there.
That's what it is.
But they kind of do go hand in hand to a point. It's because you can't have one without the other, really. You need both. I'm just saying that I kind of lean more towards the wrestling because at the end of the day, it is a wrestling program. It's not just like a soap or anything like that. So, but the entertainment side of things, and that is definitely important. It's not like it's not. It needs to be there because otherwise, if you don't have these two things working in tandem, you're not going to be interested.
No, I mean, the thing in a minute, I mean, if we took away the sports entertainment side, just took away the characters from everybody, so they're just people, and you had to pick the best actual physical wrestler out of them, it's hard to say because obviously when I've asked it in the past, we look at the total package of how they are on the microphone, what their character's like, and all that kind of stuff. If you go pure wrestling ability, I mean, I probably still would go with the likes of like Gargano, Daniel Bryan, Ricochet and stuff.
Yeah.
The beauty is somehow finding the mold of bringing the sports entertainment in and wrestling as one.
Yeah.
To the point that there's been times sometimes where I've tuned into Raw SmackDown purely because I'm excited for a segment.
Yeah.
Whether it be a contract signing or because I know Edge is going to be there or The Undertaker's going to say something on the mic or whatnot. But when a story is done right, I want to enjoy all those bits, like the contract things, the promos, all that kind of build-up, to the point that when the wrestling match is here, I am seething, ready for that bell to ring because I want to see the match just as bad as well.
Yeah, so this is why I said I think they need to be working well in tandem. To be honest, it's like I say, it's a hard question to answer. I do lean more towards the wrestling side of things, but yeah, you can't have one without the other. They need to be working together to form the full bag, really.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I always enjoy the journey of a story. But what makes it a perfect story is the final chapter. And the final chapter is always going to be the wrestling match, what happens in the ring. So, I don't know. It might be straight down the middle for me, 50-50. I was going to lean more towards the sports entertainment side because, personally, obviously The Undertaker is my favourite. But he was partially my favourite because of the theatrics and the character and the mystery. Obviously, I know it's all bollocks. He's not really dead. He doesn't really summon the lightning and stuff. But I loved that. That's what drew me to the product for a long time.
Yeah.
It's the same with Austin. I knew that legally he couldn't kick his boss's ass all the time or drive a Zamboni into the arena and stuff. But I was drawn to that story and character. But at the end of the day, like you say, when it came down to it, I wanted to see Austin and The Undertaker wrestle.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like I say, I do lean towards wrestling, but they need to work together. You can't have one without the other. It's
the best of both worlds.
Yeah, you need to have best, and I suppose that's one of the failings we've got with WWE at the moment is the fact that they're leaning more towards one thing than the other. And that's the problem. It's like you need to have these balanced very well together to make a really good, solid, coherent product. And at the moment, that's not the case.
If there was no sports entertainment, it was just wrestling, it'd be like watching the wrestling in the Olympics.
Yeah, it'd be fine, but you'd be focusing on the focus of the sport itself rather than the story, because there is no story.
Yeah, if you took wrestling out of it and it was just the sports entertainment, I don't like you, I'm going to do This Is Your Life with Mankind and The Rock.
Yeah, so why? Yeah.
Well, it's entertaining, but what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point in a wrestling ring and all these people up in their gear and everything if they're not going to wrestle? It's pointless. Yeah.
It's the perfect example is if you had both the storyline stuff and the wrestling, but you took all the championships away. What are you fighting for?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, when people started going off saying, "Oh, they're inventing more and more championships," I was going to. I really don't mind that because it gives more flavour to a storyline that we may otherwise not be interested in. You're fighting for something to obtain.
Yeah, the difficulty is making the title mean something.
Yeah, which is a very difficult thing to do. But again, that's down to how well you tell a story.
Yeah, it's the things like the tag titles, the women's and the world titles can't speak for themselves because they're titles of a division. The tag team means you're the best tag team in the world. Women's your best woman, world champion, your champion of the company, champion of the world, whatever. Stuff like the Intercontinental, the US, and the 24/7 title, like we discussed the other one, it's like, well, they're there. They're meant to have prestige. They're meant to mean something. But what? And people like The Miz made the Intercontinental title mean something because it was like, the Intercontinental title for him fed his ego.
Yeah, absolutely.
For John Cena with the US title, it fed the investment from the fans into his character, and it was a stepping stone.
Yeah.
These are what those belts are meant to be doing. And like I say, with the 24/7 title, at the minute, to me, from a fan point of view, it's there for pure comedy at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely, which is
I'm
not the right
on
thing.
board with that.
No, same here.
So, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, another one down.
Back to dust.
And we still got, I don't know, was it 2-3 weeks, I think, into SummerSlam?
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to have a couple more of these before that kind of rears its ugly head. I'll be honest, I generally thought we'd be more or less out of this by now and we'd be sitting right next to each other having this kind of a conversation, but it seems that the way of the world and the way the government are doing things poorly at best means that we're going to be doing this via Facebook Live for a while.
I mean, technically we could. I mean, I could sit there across the table with a mask on, or again, it's the whole you're allowed one more household in your household thing. So, like we discussed, it's the comfort of you and me.
Yeah, it just seems a bit wishy-washy. So I'm just like, well, I'm just going to stick to not really going in people's houses at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to live in fear of it. It's pointless. But like again, it's what other people are comfortable with. So I'll roll with the comfort of others.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be back in another week, I suppose, for more questions and stuff.
If we can think of
If we can muster the strength to get 3 each.
Yeah. We'll sort something.
Yes, so like, subscribe, and we'll be back next week, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.